Okay, so for the materials for this project, what you're gonna need is some cardstock. I'm just using a 12 by 12, and then also a piece of vellum. And again, this is from the cardstock shop, and I'm just using clear, but you can get all sorts of different types of and colors of vellum. And then a green cutting mat. And this one that we're doing is actually a pretty intricate cut. So your best bet to get those little cuts is to have a really clean or new mat and a very sharp blade. So if you're not getting those little snowflakes to cut out very well, it's probably one of the two. Either your mat is not sticky enough or your blade is not sharp enough. Okay, and then I am going to use the foil. So I am using this 12 by 12 foil, and it comes with these stickers inside the package that we need to tape on. And then your favorite adhesive glue to put it together, and then the foiling tool if you are using foil. But as I mentioned, you don't need to foil it. You can use any type of like Cricut pens. I used the white opaque marker on my smaller one that I showed you. You can use any of the pens, or you don't have to add any of the accents, totally up to you. And then also totally optional again is the scoring wheel. I'm using my maker, so I have my scoring wheel, or you can use the scoring stylus if you have the Cricut Explorer. If you have the Joy, you can just fold the things in with your fingers. Not a big deal. And then if you have some kind of like bone folder to help crease it, that helps too. And I always use my sprayer, one of my favorite tools. Okay, so really not a whole lot for this project. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I am in my Cricut design space. I'm gonna go up to new project on that right-hand side. And we are gonna upload a file. You'll see I've been uploading a lot of these to be making sure they work for you. So I'm just going to click on this upload image up here and browse. Okay, so it's going to be Gnome Lantern Craft Fest Final that you get to open, and there are two different files in here. One is that tall snowflake gnome, and one is a shorter one. So if you have the Joy, you can definitely do the shorter one that fits within the Joy's cutting parameters. And if you have the Maker or the Explorer line, you can cut either of these. So I'm just gonna click on upload. So both of these come in, and then click on that and add it to my canvas. Okay, so you'll see when they come in as a group. So I'm gonna come up here and ungroup them. And so we are gonna be doing this tall one here today. And so you can either delete these or hide these if you don't want to make them. I'm just going to delete those off there. Okay, so these are these yellow rectangles that I'm going to cut out of the vellum. Or like I showed you, you can use a clear poster board. You can use, I haven't showed it, shrinky dinks, any kind of clear translucent type of paper that you want to use for the lantern. Within this file here, I'm actually just going to ungroup it there. We need to do a few things here. So you'll see over on this layers panel, my favorite panel. So get pretty familiar with this over here. You can do so much without ungrouping and things like that if you're just within the layers panel. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to click on this top one, and that you can kind of see the pictures of it is all the extra little snowflakes and things like that that I'm going to foil. So you have the option, you can foil, you can use a pen, or a marker, something like that. You can even, if you have the Maker, you can hit debossing on paper to make some cool accents. So whatever you want to do with this, but we need to change it because right now, if you look up here under operation, it says basic cut. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go down to foil and then medium, and you'll see it changes everything. And those little circles, let me show you. Like these circles that come in here, since they're a basic cut, they don't show the outline, they show the full circle. And okay, so let's do that again. And that's just something with Adobe Illustrator and how it carries over here. So I'm going to change that to foil and to medium. Again, you'll see everything changes. And then you can change your foil color if you want. You don't have to. This is just so Cricut will prompt you to insert the color that you're going to be using. I will do silver just to have that. Okay, and then the next thing we need to do is actually change these lines. We can't bring over scoring lines from a different software, so you do have to do that within Design Space. So again, I'm going to use my layers panel and just click on this one right here. You'll see that has the 4 lines, and it just brings those up. Okay, so again, I need to come up here under Basic Operation and come down here and click on Score. So this is for the scoring wheel or a stylus if you have, or you don't even have to do this. You can just fold them on your own. If you don't have a scoring tool, that is perfectly fine. This just puts them right in the center there where you'll need to. So I'm going to change this to score, and you'll see when you do that, this changes to those dotted lines. Okay, so I'm just going to click off of that. So you'll see I didn't even ungroup anything or move anything out of the way. And then the last thing we want to do to make sure this all stays in cuts and scores and foils exactly how it is to attach it. So I'm going to click on this again on my layers panel. It's already in the group, so it shows all of these. Or you can use your cursor and drag over all of it to select it also. And then down here on the bottom, I'm going to hit that attach. So now that it's attached, you'll see up here in the layers panel, they're all attached. So this will foil, cut, score, everything right there. Okay, so then these I'm going to cut out of vellum, so I don't need to do anything with those. Okay, so then you can save this if you want. When we go to make it, you'll see the 2 mats that it's going to cut. So this is the vellum one, and then this one fits on the mat. So I did want to show you one quick thing. So back here, I size this to fit on a 12 by 12 mat. So you don't have to do any extra gluing, things like that. So this is, let's see, right under the 11.5. But you can have it taller. So right now it's like 5.86. So if we want to say make this bigger, right now it's only 5.86, but with our mat we can definitely make it taller. So I want to actually make everything taller. So I am going to use my cursor and drag everything. So this will make my rectangles taller so they fit and make this taller. And then I'm going to click on this little lock function up here. So this unlocks it so I can change the width and height individually of each other. And then I'm just going to pull down a little bit on here, and you'll see everything gets taller. And say we're going to leave it like that. So now if I click on this, it's about 6.1. So it makes it a little taller, but totally up to you. You can leave it the exact size it is, or you can make it a little bit taller if you want, if you have a taller candle, things like that. But if you make it any wider, you won't be able to cut it on a 12 by 12 mat. It will prompt you for a 12 by 24. You can definitely do that. Glue, if you have a 12 by 24 piece of cardstock, or you can tape 2 together, you will just have a crease in it somewhere, because it's not totally your option. Okay, so then now when we go to make it, again, we have these 4 here, and this is all ready. If we click on continue, it is going to connect to my maker, and we're going to start cutting this out. And for my first one, we're going to do vellum. So I just always go into browse, and in my search, I'm going to type in vellum, or I just put vellum. Vellum right there comes right up, and click done. Okay, so it says my fine point blade, and we're going to load the mat. So the vellum I'm actually going to use on a blue mat. You can use it on a green mat or kind of an older mat, but it's pretty thin and sticks well. So I'm just going to put it right on here. And with my brayer. Okay, so I have my vellum on my mat. So you can see my Cricut is blinking already. So I'm going to put my mat underneath the guides and push it all the way up till I can't anymore. And while I'm holding it, I'm going to push this button, and it will pull that in. Once that's done, my light will flash, and I'm going to push that for it to start cutting. Okay, so it's all done. My light is blinking, so I'm going to unload my mat, and then I'm just going to peel my vellum sheets from the mat. And pulling the mat away from the material just helps for it not to curl up and bend. Okay, so we have those 4 all cut out. Put those aside. So now my next one is my mat. So again, I said a really sticky mat. So mine is nice and sticky. Make sure there's as much of the debris and everything off as you can. And I'm just going to line this up so it fits. And with my brayer, make sure that it's nice and stuck down. Okay, so my blade is relatively new, the last month or 2, but I have been cutting a lot, so I'm gonna hope this helps. But every time I cut cardstock, I always take it out and punch it in just a little ball of foil. So I just stick it out with my hand, just be very careful, and then just punch it in the foil, and that helps kind of clean things off. Verdict's out on whether it actually sharpens it or not, but I think it helps. So I always do that before I'm cutting cardstock or starting a new project, because you never know, sometimes cardstock gets stuck underneath there and you don't know that, and you go to cut vinyl and it's not cutting. Okay, so I'm just going to select medium cardstock as my base here, and you'll see since I have the score lines, it's actually telling me to load in my scoring wheel, and then it tells me coming up I have the foils to go. So she didn't need this yet, so we're going to take this back out and just place the wheels of it, go right up against there, and we're shutting that. Okay, so again, pushing this all the way up, holding it and pushing my load mat button. And then I'm going to push this button to score it. So again, since I have the Maker 3, it is detecting my scoring wheel first, and then it's going to come over and start just making those score lines down the middle. That, everything paused, and we are doing the foil next. So it says important, do not unload the mat. So do not unload your mat. And then load the foil transfer tip, and then we're gonna put on the silver. So usually with foil, you'll the image in a little bit before you foil it, but since our image goes all the way out to the side, we're gonna put the tape on the edges. So also when you foil, you don't want your rollers going across it, because that can make foil down the middle of it. So just use your fingers and push those over to the side. And I'm going to get a piece of foil out here, and you don't need the full 12 by 12 sheet. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and tape this on. So grab my tape here that comes in the foil kit. So I'm going to head just pull one off. And I'm going to tape the top first. So I'm going to get up here real close and actually tape it to my mat there. So the foil, you want it as tight as you can get it. Whoa, and not do that. So I go on either side first. So I'm going to put it there, and I actually push it kind of close, and it will actually grab that foil a little bit. And then I pull it down as much as I can, and tape that on. And we're going to do the sides. Here, because my guide is there. Okay, and pull that as best I can. Okay, so this is gonna do our snowflakes. Okay, so I also wanna remove this and put in my foil, my foiling tip. Push that in, and then I'm gonna push that go button. So this is just gonna foil all of this, and then we'll continue when that's done. Okay, so my machine has stopped, and you'll see that that light is blinking, and my screen says, again, do not unload the mat, and remove the foil, and then load the fine point blade. So we're gonna do that. So I'm just gonna take the tape and start pulling it up. There, you see the pretty shiny snowflakes already. So now we're going to take our foiling tip out and put that fine point blade in. That's hopefully very sharp to cut it. Okay, so I didn't unload anything or anything. I'm just gonna hit this button that's blinking, the go button, and it's gonna start cutting. So that foiling part took a good amount of time with all those snowflakes, about, I don't know, almost 10 minutes or so. So this part is going to take quite a few minutes too, because of the snowflakes and things like that. But then we will come out and remove it and start putting it together. Okay, so my machine paused. It says it's all done, so I'm gonna unload my mat. So we're actually all done with the Cricut. Okay, so now we are going to peel it back from our mat and hope it all cut out. So I'm just gonna gently kind of pull it up. Like I said, if you have the real sticky mat, hopefully some of it will stick to it. We are just gonna slowly pull this apart. Kind of watch it as we do it. Make sure we don't pull off any of those snowflakes. So I got some of it out, so I'm just gonna go through and kind of pull these extra ones out that didn't stick to my mat. Okay, for those small ones, I'm gonna use just my weeding tool to push on it and pull them out the back side. I like to pull it off the back side, just every so often that cardstock kind of rips up. So if you pull it off the back side, you can't see it where it tears. So like I mentioned, if you don't have a really clean mat or a sharp blade right now, you can use the smaller lantern template that I have for free with this and use that. That one's not as intricate a cut. Okay, so now we have that, and then we have our 4 pieces of vellum here. And then I'm going to use, like I said, I'm using this. I just put it in these small bottles because I can never keep my tip from not clogging up in these, even with those tips that it comes with. So I just put it in here. Okay, so now for this, we're going to fold it on all the score lines. So if you had your scoring stylus, you'll have some little parts there to crease it on. And then this is where I will use my bone folder if you have one, or you can use a credit card or something like that if you want to. So
I'm just going to crease all of these lines. Okay, so now that I have that all creased, I'm going to start gluing them on. Okay, so these are just going to glue right behind here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the edges. You don't need a whole lot. And a little glue in here. Okay, and we're going to repeat that for all the other sides. Okay, so now that that is all, we need to just glue it together. So this is that last little fold that we're going to glue. So I'm actually going to just fold this over and place glue right on it. And then just fold that one down. And I'm going to hold it down here for a few seconds, and then I'm going to bend it. Oops. And half this way. Make sure it's nice and stuck. And then we can open it. Okay, so that's it. So now you can put the candle inside and have a cute little lantern.